Now, you might be thinking that all of these workouts that I'm talking about, well, they sound like they need some equipment, and in most cases, you're right. Now, it's not a lot of equipment necessarily, but there are a few specific things that you might need to do one of the workouts that we've just gone through. So we're going to have a quick chat now about whether you can do those workouts at home or whether you're going to need to find a gym nearby that you can go to. Now, of course, working out at home is generally the most convenient option, unless, I guess, if you have a gym at work. But some people actually prefer going out to a gym, even if they could do their workouts at home. So have a think about what your preference is as we discuss these details. So to start off, if you're going to do your workouts at home, probably one of the pieces of equipment that you will need is a kettlebell. Now, I know that that's something I've mentioned already, and probably you've got an idea now of what a kettlebell looks like, but effectively it's a big ball of lead with a handle attached to it. Now, some of them are pure metal, others have a coating around them so the handle is a little nicer to grip, but they all do basically the same thing. They pack in a lot of weight in a very small space, and they give you a nice convenient handle on top so that you can do the swinging action that I've just talked about. There's a few places that you can buy kettlebells from, and indeed you'll probably find them in big department stores and maybe in some of those other big box stores. But you can also order them online. So if you'd like, there's a couple of links on this page for you to go and check out some of the kettlebells that you can buy, and they'll ship them to your door if that's what you prefer. Now, there's another alternative to the kettlebell, well, at least a kettlebell that's bought in a retail store, and that's building your own kettlebell. Now, this tends to be a little more clunky, and to be quite honest, even though I went through the motions and bought these components, it didn't really ever work out to be that convenient for me because I found the weight plates were a bit bulky. If you'd like any more details on the parts that are involved, there's actually an info sheet as well on this, so you can download that if this looks like a good option for you. The next thing you might consider having at home is free weights, and of course, free weights are those kind of dumbbells and potentially a barbell, which is a longer stick that you'll actually add weights onto each end of, and you might want to have some of them at home. Be aware though that once you start doing different kinds of exercises, you might actually need to stock up on quite a few different barbells or dumbbells. Now, there are some dumbbell systems that let you quickly adjust and rack the weight back in the rack, and they tend to be quite expensive, but they're also incredibly convenient, and they're very, very good if you need to save space. So I'll leave it up to you to decide if that's a route that you want to go with, but rest assured that if you do go that route, you can find some equipment that's going to last you quite a while. It's not something you'll need to replace every month or two, for example. Lastly, if you're doing workouts at home, you might have heard me mentioning an alternative of using some pillows instead of a thing called a Bosu ball. Now, a Bosu ball is basically half of one of those fit balls that you might have seen at your local physio office or in your local gym. A Bosu ball is quite heavy duty and it sits on the floor, and that allows you to do that myotatic crunch that we talked about in a specific way. Now, these are a great piece of equipment to have, and again, you'll probably find them at a department store, a big box store, or you can definitely find them online as well. So it's up to you if you'd like to work out at home, and that's probably the equipment that you're going to need. On the alternative side of things, if you consider going to a gym, you're probably going to want to find one that's quite close to home or quite close to where you work, so it's nice and convenient and easy for you to get there. The key to getting out of your house or getting out of the office and going to a gym is to make it simple and to make it a painless process. So if you've got to hike over to the other side of town to get there, well, the odds are you're probably not going to end up going back that often. So I want to give you a little tip there, find one that's very, very close to you. Now, as far as tips go, the other tip I've got for you is look for a gym that doesn't have a contract. There's nothing worse than signing a 6-month or maybe even a 12-month contract only to find out a month or two down the track that either you don't like the gym that you're going to, you don't like the staff that are there, maybe you don't like the people that are going there, or that they don't have all of the equipment that you'd like to use. So really look out for one that lets you pay, for example, month to month, or even look out for some that have a special pass, for example, where you get 10 visits on a card and then you simply buy another card again. These can be a really great way of trialing a gym before you commit to a longer contract. Now, as well as that, you want to find a gym that's got a good amount of machine weights and kettlebells. Now, sometimes that can be a difficult combination to find, but I'll give you a tip here. Check out the gym, get a tour, and just check off on a little list that you bring with you to make sure that the machine weights that you want to use are actually there. It's very, very easy to get overwhelmed by very efficient salespeople, and all of a sudden you find yourself at a gym where you're making a lot of compromises as far as the machines go that you would like to use. So just double check that. You might also want to check out to see if your gym has a membership where you can pay less to only have access to the weights room rather than paying for a full membership to also go to classes. The kind of workouts that we've discussed definitely don't see you going into an aerobics room or, for example, going and doing a pump class for an hour because they're self-contained workouts. They're a lot more specific than those kind of classes, and they challenge your muscles in a lot more of an intense way so that the sessions can be shorter. Now, if you've got an opportunity to do so, I definitely recommend trying out a few different gyms before you actually sign on the dotted line. Have a think about a few of these questions. Do you feel comfortable with the other people that are there using the gym? Is the atmosphere to your liking? Are the staff friendly? Are the facilities clean? And is everything in good working order? There's nothing more frustrating than sitting down on a machine weight setup and realizing that, for example, the cable doesn't work properly or that it hasn't been maintained and so the seat is unstable. So have a look at those things and then decide on a gym that really works for you. Also, look for offers and deals, for example, for off-peak memberships. If that's going to work for you, you might be able to get a discount if you're prepared to go at times when not everybody else is going. Now, generally this tends to be in the middle of the day, so if you have a day job, that might not be an option for you. Also consider 24/7 gyms. There's a lot of them popping up now, and if your schedule tends to be all over the place, these can be a really great option for you to get in an early morning workout or a later evening workout, for example at 10 or 11 at night if your sleep schedules are a little bit adjusted. And they also tend to be those kind of gyms where, generally speaking at least, most of the equipment is very well maintained, and also the atmosphere tends to be quite friendly. Now, I want to reiterate that there's no need for you to get personal training sessions. And I want to mention that because a lot of people tend to associate personal training with weight loss. They've probably seen a friend or two who's had success working with a personal trainer, and after a while, maybe you start to develop a perception that you have to have a personal trainer in order to get any results. So I want to reassure you that that's just not the case. Generally speaking, having a personal trainer does help you in a few specific ways, and that number one is having the motivation to actually get down to the gym or get to your workout room and actually carry out your workout. And also number two, generally personal trainers tend to give a bit of nutrition advice as well, and the ones who know what they're talking about can lead you on a good path. Now, because we're talking about workouts that are quite short and quite effective in terms of getting things done in a short amount of time and making sure that you're going to get results from them, I don't think it's going to be nearly as difficult for you to go back and have another session after you've done a few. And I say this because these sessions aren't going to exhaust you, and they're not going to leave you feeling totally fatigued for days and days on end without seeing any results coming from them. I expect that you'll actually be feeling more energy and that you'll start feeling stronger quite quickly. And that's why I think you'll probably get hooked on these exercise sessions and it'll be easy for you to go back again. Now, secondly, this is another reason why you don't need the personal trainer, and that is you're getting a complete amount of nutrition information through this course. And so you have a total understanding of how your nutrition can help your fat loss already. So you don't need help in that direction as well. Now, if you are considering personal training, I want you to just think about a couple of things. Number one, personal trainers tend to be really expensive. So I want you to shop around, and I also want you to ask around for recommendations, because there's nothing worse than spending hard-earned money on a personal trainer who you either don't like or who doesn't get you the results that you want. The other thing you may want to consider is that some personal trainers who've studied in certain schools of thought may actually delay your progress depending on their experience. If they have specific training in certain methods of workouts, they might actually believe in training a lot more often, and they also might have other recommendations as far as nutrition goes that actually conflict with the information you're learning here. Now, I want to let you know that what you're learning here is based on a lot of scientific studies and thousands of people demonstrating the results that you can get. So if you find yourself with a personal trainer who's telling you, for example, that you need to do cardio 5 days a week in order to lose any fat, I just want you to stop and think for a minute and just have a think about the potential that this personal trainer maybe has a more narrow field of study and experience. Next up, I want to remind you that it's a great idea to use machine weights. And there's a few reasons for this. I'm not going to go on and on about it, but basically to make things really simple, if you go and use free weights, that is those dumbbells that can move in any direction, especially for things like a bench press where the weights are going above your head, there's a much bigger degree of risk for injury. And I really want you to avoid being injured because that's terrible, it's not fun, and it sets your progress back by weeks and weeks as you wait for that injury to recover. So I want to reiterate, using machine weights can definitely challenge your muscles in a big way. You can develop a lot of strength using machine weights, and they're, generally speaking, a lot safer to use as well. Now, if you're in a gym that has the Nautilus type machines, or that is machine weights where you see some kind of a cam that, for example, has a ribbon wrapped around it or some kind of a cable wrapped around it, I'd like you to use those particular machines. A lot of gyms stock these kind of machines, and it'd be a good idea to ask the personal trainer in the gym or even the receptionist, for example, in the gym, if they have machine weights that are Nautilus type machines. They may not have that particular brand because there's a few other brands out there now doing similar machines. But what these do, which is unlike any other kind of weight training, is they actually adjust the resistance as you move that weight. So if we use the example of a bicep curl, as you bring the weight closer to you and closer to your head, because it starts off far away from you and lower down, as that weight moves closer to you, because the cable is actually moving around a shape that's not a perfect circle, you'll actually feel that your muscles continue to be challenged. And the reason that this has been created, and it was created with a lot of medical research, I might add, is that when you lift a weight, because of the mechanics involved and because of the angles involved, for example, with your joints like elbow joints or knee joints, you tend to be stronger at certain points during that motion, and you tend to be weaker at other points. So a lot of effort was put into studying this, and a very, very smart man by the name of Nautilus came up with a fantastic solution, and that was to use a cam, which is a part of the machine, which means the resistance against your muscles actually varies as you move that weight. Now, of course, this is a fantastic way to challenge your muscles, and it actually means you can get gains happening a little quicker than even if you were to use free weights. So definitely check out if your gym has those kind of machines. If not the end of the world. You can use regular machine weights and you'll still be challenged almost just as much. So that's the two options you've got for working out, either at home or at a gym. And I hope that the information I've given you gives you some good insight into making a great choice about which one is going to suit you better.